town is being years, romantic couples danced away a night at the Ritz, then called Webster Hall. Dim lights and melodic orchestras made an enchanted evening. Maybe it's been a while since you've been to the old famed place. The lights are still dim, and orchestras still play. Well, the tunes are a bit different. Tonight, it's the Ramones, one of the country's pioneer punk rock groups. What? You say things have changed? Nah, romantic sentimentalists will be delighted to know people are dancing close together again. It's called slam dancing. Yeah, you slam into each other, smash into one's ribs, bounce back, and do it all over again.
Bands like Metallica, Anthrax, Wasp, and Venom. The music's getting harder and faster every day. Part of this furious vanguard is a band from Ottawa called Exciter, who played the concert hall recently.
Get a Canadian record deal for our first album. So, we were forced to go to the States. And, a company in California picked us up. And as a result, it was on import in Canada. Our music does, it doesn't sound Canadian, if you know what I mean. It sounds more British. We pattern ourselves after British-style heavy metal. So I guess, kids pick it up. Hey, it's an import. It sounds British. They must be from England. They're not from here,
Now, you're described as having a massive cult following in Europe. Does that mean that you're selling hundreds of thousands of records there?
Well, not really hundreds of thousands. We're selling quite a bit of albums. It seems like the kids in Europe today seem to be picking up that, they've had their fill of Priest and Sabbath and that, and they seem to be going to more towards the Venom and the, Metallica and Exciter and Anvil and stuff like that. The younger metal, they seem to be really getting into that. So as a result, we just fit right in with what they're into, all our metal at wicked speeds, as heavy as possible. So they just bang their head on the stage to it. It's great.
It seems to me a lot of the lyrics in heavy metal these days has to do with the Dungeons and Dragons craze. A lot of medieval fantasies of butchery and witch burning, the kind of Conan the Destroyer scene. How come?
A lot of it is sometimes you run out of concepts, and you gotta write about heavy subjects and death and destruction. You can only write so many songs about war. And then you'll see a movie like Conan the Destroyer and you get inspired and you go and you write lyrics like, he was slayed by the blade of the sword, and the metalers are in the front and they're freaking out. They love lyrics like that, It's better than saying I'm walking down the street smiling at people that I meet,
Yeah.
It's heavy, and it's, the medieval days were heavy, and it's, certain death for most people. You got to fight to stay alive, and that's what metal is all about. It's a fight. Stand up and fight for metal. That's what it is.
I don't want to over-intellectualize or anything, but do you think that all this death and destruction fantasy has anything to do with the fact that we're sitting in the shadow of a nuclear war?
I think a lot of it does. Like the song "Violence and Force" from our latest album, title track, was written about nuclear destruction, right? World War III, which was on a compilation album 2 years ago by the band, was written, World War III, nuclear destruction. It is like a shadow, on everyone, but it's also a very heavy subject, and kids can relate to that, it's nuclear war, it's heavy, World War III, right on, that's a great concept, This is the concert hall, man! I said, do you feel like pounding some metal tonight? That's Voracious! Violence and force!
On the new music, Max Almy, Twisted Sister, and